Hello, everyone. This is Eleanor Rigby. I was sitting here by the window this morning holding the small, tarnished silver thimble. It belonged to my mother, and I remember watching her use it to mend my father's work shirts back in the 50s. It's funny how a little piece of metal can feel so heavy when you're the only one left to hold it. Time is a thief, isn't it? It steals the noise from a house until all you're left with is the ticking of a clock that seems to get louder every year. If I hadn't learned how to handle the silence and the distance that grew between me and my children, I think I would have lost my mind, or worse, my heart. I need to tell you this because if you aren't careful, the people you love most can become strangers even when you're the one who gave them life. Before I tell you this story, please subscribe. I want to pass this wisdom down before I'm gone, so you don't make the same mistakes I did, and so you can find peace when the house gets quiet. I am 85 years old now. In all my 80 years of clear memory, I never imagined a Sunday where the phone wouldn't ring. You see, back in the 70s, my house was a hurricane of noise. I had three children, two boys and a girl, and our life was lived in the kitchen. I can still smell the pot roast browning in the oven and hear the constant slamming of the screen door. My late husband, Thomas, used to sit at the head of the table laughing so hard his face would turn red while the kids argued over who got the last piece of pie. We didn't have a penny to our names some months, especially during the gas crisis, but we had each other. I remember Thomas looking at me over their heads, winking as if to say, "Look at what we made, Eleanor. We're the richest people on the block." But children grow up. That's the goal, right? You raise them to be independent, to fly away. But nobody tells you how much it hurts when they actually do it. For years, they came back every holiday. Then it was every other holiday. Then it was just a quick call on Mother's Day about 5 years ago. After Thomas passed away, the visits stopped almost entirely. My oldest son, David, is a high powered lawyer in the city. My daughter, Sarah, is always traveling for photography. And my youngest, Michael, well, he's always had his own demons to fight. At first, I was angry. I'd sit in this chair looking at the dust motes dancing in the sun, and I'd feel this hot, bitter resentment rising in my throat. I'd think to myself, I changed their diapers. I stayed up through every fever. I sacrificed my dreams so they could have theirs. How could they forget me? I would call them and use that tone, the one, that shaky, guilt tripping voice. I'd say, "Oh, I'm just fine. Don't worry about your old mother. I'm just sitting here in the dark." I'll be honest with you, it didn't work. It made them call even less. I could hear the hesitation in David's voice when he did pick up. "Mom, I've got a meeting in 5 minutes. Can this be quick?" It broke me. It was the hardest year of my life, realizing that I was no longer the center of their world. I felt like a ghost haunting my own hallway. Young people today might not understand this, but back in my day, family was a tether. You didn't just drift away, but the world changed, and I was left standing on the shore while their boats disappeared over the horizon. Then, one Tuesday, I had a realization. I was looking at an old photo of myself from 1962. I looked so full of life, so separate from being a mother. I remembered that before I was Mom, I was Eleanor. I was a woman who loved poetry, who could bake a sourdough bread that would make a grown man cry, and who had a sharp wit. I realized I had become a burden because I had made my children my only reason for existing. I was demanding they fill a hole in my life that I was responsible for. So I did something radical. I stopped calling them to complain. In fact, I stopped calling them first altogether for a little while. I started small. I joined a local gardening club. I met a woman named Martha who's 82 and has more energy than a teenager. We started taking the bus to the botanical gardens. I started reading those thick history books I never had time for when the kids were little. I began to live for myself again. When Michael finally called me after 3 weeks of silence, I didn't lead with a guilt trip. He said, "Hey, Mom, sorry I haven't checked in." And instead of saying, "I noticed," I said, "Oh, Michael, it's quite all right. I've been so busy with my lilies, I barely noticed the time passing. How are you, dear?" The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. He didn't know what to do with a mother who wasn't pining for him. Over the next few months, something miraculous happened. Because I stopped grasping at them, they started reaching back. They weren't calling out of obligation anymore. They were calling because they were curious about this new, independent version of me. Experience has taught me that love isn't a leash. You have to understand that as you age, your role changes. You go from being the provider to being the lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't run out into the water to grab the ships. It just stands there, bright and steady, waiting for them to find their way home. In my 85 years, I've seen that the biggest mistake my generation makes is thinking that our children owe us their lives because we gave them ours. They don't. That was a gift we gave freely, or at least we should have. Modern life is fast, it's frantic, and it's cold. Our children are struggling with things we never had to imagine. If we make ourselves another task on their to-do list, they will eventually stop checking the box. You have to find a way to be happy within your own skin. Regardless of who walks through your front door, patience is not just waiting for someone to come back, it's the work you do on yourself while you're waiting. Sacrifice doesn't mean giving up your identity. It means giving your children the space to be who they are, even if that means they aren't by your side every Sunday. I promise you, if you fill your own cup, people will naturally want to come and take a sip from it. Loyalty cannot be demanded. It must be inspired. My late husband used to say, "Eleanor, you can't catch a butterfly by chasing it. You plant a garden and the butterfly comes to you." He was right. He was always right about the heart. Let me tell you the truth. It still hurts sometimes. I still wish Sarah would stay for a week instead of a weekend. I still wish David didn't look at his watch when we're having tea. But I don't let that hurt define my day anymore. I have my books, I have my garden, and I have my dignity. I've learned that being a mother is just one chapter of my story, not the whole book. Think about that. If you're sitting there feeling forgotten, ask yourself what you're doing to be worth remembering today. Are you a source of joy or a source of guilt? It's never too late to change the energy you put out into the world. Even at 85, I'm still learning, still growing, and still finding new ways to love the people who came from me without suffocating them. As I look at this thimble one last time before I put it away, I realize that life is about mending. We mend our clothes, we mend our hearts, and sometimes we have to mend the way we love. I wish for you a home that feels full even when it's empty, and a heart that is so full of its own light that others can't help but be drawn to it. Cherish your family, but cherish yourself too. Okay, thanks for listening to An Old Soul. Subscribe, share this with someone you love, and cherish them while they are here. I'll be here next time with a little more warmth and a few more stories to tell. Take care of yourselves. Would you like me to create an image of Eleanor in her sunlit garden to accompany this script?